Alrighty, I'm having a hard time finding video clips or websites that do a nice little succinct job for the Pequot War and King Philip's War, so I'm just going to lay that out myself. To understand King Philip's War, you need the background of the Pequot War. And so that begins in the 1630s. There's disputes regarding trade, and there's some intermittent clashes between the Pequot and the New England colonists. And what will happen is it will culminate in what's called the Mystic Massacre. And you've got an image, I'll put it in the page, but it's also on your outline in the PowerPoint from this massacre. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when we talk about the battles between Native Americans and colonists, it's almost always seen as like we're pitting Native Americans and colonists against each other, but it was a lot more complicated than that. Remember, Native Americans have been here for thousands and thousands of years, and they don't see each other as Native Americans. So some Native Americans are going to ally themselves with the English colonists because they see this as a way to get back at ancient enemies. From our perspective, we're like, don't unite, Native Americans should unite together. But again, remember, they don't see themselves that way. So in the Pequot War, you have some Native Americans that ally themselves with the colonists to fight against the Pequot. And what happens is initially the colonists and the Native American allies, they surround the Pequot village. And you can see that in the image. It's like in a circle. They surround the village. And pretty quickly, the English colonists realize that they're not going to be successful in this battle. And so what they do is they surround the village. They make it so that the Pequot can't escape out of the fort that the Pequot have erected. And then they set the village on fire. And then any Pequot who are trying to escape are shot while trying to escape. So like 400 to 500 people are massacred in about an hour. And this is how the English wage war. They wage war to destroy entire populations. But for Native peoples, this isn't typically how they wage war. So even the Native Americans who had allied themselves with the colonists, they're horrified that so many people are murdered, and that this is an attempt to destroy peoples as opposed to win a battle. Now, there's no kind of return or coming back from this for the Pequot, and so within a year, they're going to sign the Treaty of Hartford. And what this treaty says is that surviving Pequot must surrender their land. Any surviving Pequot are going to be sold into slavery. Some of them were enslaved in the colonies, but others were sent outside of the colonies where slavery would be much harsher. And third, the Treaty of Hartford says that the Pequot language can never be spoken again. Its cultural practices can't, be observed. And so this isn't just a genocide of people; it's also a cultural genocide by taking their land, by taking their freedom, and then also by taking their language and their culture. And so again, what's significant about the Pequot War is it sets up for us these tactics of the English colonists to completely destroy and eradicate people from the earth, either literally, like with that Mystic Massacre, or also literally and then culturally with this Treaty of Hartford. The Pequot War then is going to set the stage for the King Philip's War, because as colonists move into that land, and the colonist population, New England colonists, their population doubles their whole population doubles every 25 years because, right, they're having 6 to 8 kids in the north. And so the Pequot War sets the stage for King Philip's War. It allows more and more colonists to move further and further inland. All right, I will make another clip here in just a moment about King Philip's War. If you have questions, be sure and ask them in the discussion board.